Hello and welcome to the Team Bus, part of the Beyond the Slipstream podcast. I'm Matt and I'm here with my brother Justin, and we're going to get into some rando cycling chat that we couldn't quite squeeze into the main episode this week. Let's kick it off with the Cyclocross World Championships, where on the men's side, Wout van Aert got a raw deal, in my opinion, and on the women's side, we got a fantastic freaking race.
All right.
What do you think?
So let's go ahead and start with the men. I feel like that was the more definitely the more boring of the two races. I agree with you. Wout starts what 3 rows behind
Yeah,
Matthew
he was
Vanderpool.
he was in the fourth row.
I mean, for the only person that can hang with the guy, I don't understand why you put him back there because
It's completely asinine.
the race is over in the first lap, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think
Yes,
that.
like why would they do that? They're shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, I'm sure it had something to do with like the rules of because Wout's only raced X number of races this season. Right? Who cares, man? Like it's your race. Put the best people in the front. I mean, it's just stupid to hamstring him like that and to just completely advantage Vanderpool. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like,
Especially
and it's
considering that
infuriating.
he's in great form too. So like it could have been a really interesting race, and it ends up being a complete snooze fest of just watching Vanderpool. Which don't get me wrong, I like watching Vanderpool race, but there just wasn't anything to watch other than to just see him going around the course.
Yes,
There was no drama.
I'm tired of watching Mathieu van der Poel riding by himself in the front of a cyclocross race. I'm sorry, it's boring. Like, is it a great achievement what this guy's done? He's tied Roger de Vlamic um, in all time cyclocross world championships. He'll probably beat it. It'll be amazing, whatever. But it won't be amazing if the stupid race organizers at the UCI decides to start the only person that can challenge him 4 rows back. I mean, what's the point? So the fans get screwed over, Wout van Aert gets screwed over, and you know, I mean, good for
Is it
Vanderpool, but
you know what I mean? And
just lame.
to me, does it take a little bit away from the win because he never really was contested?
Yeah,
You
yeah. I
know
mean,
what I
the one
mean?
guy that could have contested him was started in traffic. I mean, they started
Yeah,
Vanderpool first base.
yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, to me, I felt let down by that race. Now you want to flip over to the women's side, completely different. Fem Van Eppel and Lucinda Brand are just okay. First off, wild the fact that they are from the same country.
Not
And
really wild.
no, it's not really
All the
wild, but
greats
it's
are from the
wild
same country.
considering the way that the race unfolded. It's wild that two countrymen, countrywomen, um, were ended up kind of racing that way. And I mean, me personally, I think Lucinda Brand got a raw deal. I did not really care for how
Why?
that ended in the last little bit. I felt like she kind of
No way.
got well. I feel like she got pushed. She got pushed into that wall, and you know, Van Van Empel, took the advantage, on that weird move, and I don't know. I felt like that.
I disagree. I disagree. The end of the very end of that race is, um, I mean, at the very end, there's a finishing straight coming out of a right turn. Right before the right turn into the finishing straight, there's a little rise. It's like a little like 5 foot high thing where they're riding along and they come up like a 5 foot tall bump and then it flattens out, right turn, finishing straight. Um, they were directly beside each other when they hit that bump going up. And Van Empel powered through over the top, kept the pedals going, and Lucinda Brand didn't. And she stopped and she had to put a foot down for 1 second, and that was all it took. She got separation on that right there, and that was the end of the race. I mean, it came down to literally the last 10 seconds before she separated herself. So I think, I mean,
I mean,
it's
as the
cyclocross
race,
racing. People get bumped in cyclocross, and that's part of the sport. It's not like, somebody getting, but it's not like in I think of Valenciana on stage 4 when the dude totally shoved that guy off the side of the road. You catch that? We'll be talking about that later. But
I didn't see that.
um, yeah, I think bumps and stuff like that are, I don't see Van Empel having done anything untoward. I mean, that was a
I
pretty
don't think it
good
was
match.
egregious. I just don't think that it was necessarily fair in that at that point in the race. I don't know. Like I said, it's just the way that I saw it. There was another crazy thing that happened in cyclocross where somebody did you see like somebody like one rider like cut another rider off. It was in a women's race, and like the girl that kind of got cut off like slapped the rider next to her. Did you see that?
No.
I should have wrote down the names. It was really interesting, but I mean, and maybe that's just kind of I mean, this was definitely more egregious, but I mean, I guess I don't. Maybe I'm just not as versed in cyclocross as I am in obviously in road racing, but it was an infinitely more interesting race than the men's. Like, I mean, there's
Oh,
no doubt there
it
was
was a punching
definitely
match, like,
yeah.
lead changes, like, constantly throughout that last thing, and there was, like, a little bit of, sort of gameswomanship in terms of, like, when to take that spare bike, because I think the last one to take a bike was was Van Empel, and Brand was able to get out, like, about 5, 6, 7 seconds ahead of her, and it took her a little while to get caught back up, but, like, once you're caught back up, then you're the one with the fresher bike,
Right.
and you gotta start doing that math about, like, how long do I have until the end of the race. So Van Empel was definitely on a fresher bike,
And then
going
can
into the
can
end.
you explain to me just because so what is the advantage to having the fresh bike? Is it that it's cleaner that
Yes, yeah.
okay.
It gets clogged up, you might have stuff in your pedals that makes it harder to click back into the pedals and stuff like
Okay.
that. Tire pressures can start to fluctuate. You get that fresh bike and it's just like boom, it's perfect, it's clean, and like, you know,
And so
by the end.
when they do a bike change, I mean, do they have like five bikes sitting there and they're like, okay, we're on to the next one, or do they take that
Yeah,
bike and then
yeah.
clean it off?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sure
They're
smaller teams have to like take their bikes and hose
probably.
them off, right?
Yeah, and I think, depending on what it is, I mean, if you're just talking about hitting it with like a pressure washer to get all the gunk out of it and then repressurizing the tires, I mean, all of that can be done in a very short amount of time. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they do. It'd be interesting to find out. But I tell you what, that was just like a great race. I mean, that is why cycling is such a cool sport. I was saying this to somebody recently. I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but it's like the cyclocross race, it's like an hour, maybe an hour and 5 minutes. It's action from the get go, um, and you're in and out in an hour 5, hour 10, um, and it's just exciting because they're the countries where they have these sports, generally speaking, are cycling mad countries. So these are massive events. Thousands of people show
Yeah,
up. So
there's
these
always
courses are like
so many
lined with
people. Yeah.
spectators. They make like really cool courses, like the way that they're laid out. I mean, especially like when you get into like the Olympics and stuff like this, and the World Championships. I mean, these courses are like so cool, and they got the stairs. It's just a really interesting style of bike racing, and such a fun diversion from the road, and the fact that there are road people that go over and do that sport as well. It's just like so cool.
There's also a lot. It seems like there's a lot more tactics involved too, because you got to decide whether or not you're going to get off your bike, whether you're going to try to stay on your bike.
Mhm.
How deep is the mud? Taking
how
this
how
line.
quickly how quickly can you do that bike
Right.
change? It's almost like a pit stop in auto racing.
Right. 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 Well, and like you know, it's interesting to see how they change through from the first lap to the eighth lap, or how they're changing, like where they're hitting turns. Just it's very uh, tactic laden racing, and
Yeah,
like I said,
the race dynamics are like more fluctuating like than in a bike
mm-hmm.
race. The course literally changes, as you were saying, like course of a race, certain
Right.
spots. Yeah, and like which side do I want to take, or do I run it? There's certain places in a cyclocross race where you could power through it on the pedals, or you
Does it
could
does
jump
it make
off,
more
just
sense to pick up your
jump
bike
off
and
and just
run?
run through. Yes,
Right.
it's wild. It's really wild. Um, yeah, cool sport. It was. I love that happens this time of year. It's nice to get that little nugget every year, the World Championships. Um, Next thing I want to bring up, and I don't know that we need to talk much on this, if at all, but I'm really happy to see Egan Bernal win the Colombian ITT Championship.
That is
Um,
very
look,
cool. I
he
like
looks
Egan
super
Bernal.
strong. I love Egan Bernal, and like, boy, does that team need something this year. So, uh,
Very much so. Very much so.
um, I did hear somebody saying that I think it was Chris Horner talking about how much he really loves seeing Caleb Ewan going to Ineos, and he was mentioning like how old was Mark Cavendish when he made his comeback and won 4 Tour de France stages? A lot older than Caleb Ewan is right now,
This
and
is
Caleb
true.
Ewan is a guy. He's a guy that for 2 years, he was basically the best in the world. Like he was the guy to beat for about 2 years there. So there's no reason whatsoever that he can't get back on form and start winning bike races again. As unassailable and as badass as some of these sprinters are these days, there's no reason why he can't get back into the mix. Take some
No, and
big
there's no
wins. So
reason. Look, it's in any given race day. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? He positions himself right, gets the right lead out, then all of a sudden, he's right in the mix. So, there's no counting somebody like that out ever.
yeah, yeah. Um, all right, you want to what else you
Well,
want to
you
talk
know
about?
what? Hold on. I'll save mine till the end. Tell me about the tour of Oman because I just did not see anything on that at all.
I did not. I have not seen whatever happened today. Um, what I'm most happy about is being able to see Visma Lab in action. They sent Olav Koy, and they have a sprint train for him. So they got Nicholas Behrens wearing a bizarre like TT helmet. For some reason, it looked really
I'm
strange.
definitely gonna need to go look at this.
And
What?
your
Okay.
guy Dan McClay. And there was a
Did they get a
there was
stage win?
yeah. Coy got a
Oh,
stage win behind a perfect lead out from Behrens and McClay. Um, plus it's really cool. You got to watch it. I'm not sure what age it was, but it's really great because they're blocked up, all three of them going into the end, and I think McClay was in front, and then Behrens, and they're all locked together, all three of them, like through like the second to last K and into the last K, and at some point, McClay sort of finishes his turn, drops off, and right then, um, Coy has just got this killer instinct because Behrens moves up a little bit, um, but Coy's got his eye on who he needs to be following. Uh, of his competitors, and so you see him shift back a little bit, and he lets Barron's wheel go, um, but he knows exactly where he is, and he gets on the right wheel to get into the finish. So he slipstreams off of I think it might even been Gaviria, and I heard someone on Reddit say that say after that stage that Fernando Gaviria remains the best lead out man in the pro. It's so brutal. Gaviria had that's what happened. Yeah, Gaviria had a lead out. He had a perfect. He was right behind a lead out guy who was still fresh that did not peel off. He was right behind him. And what does Gaviria do? He instead swings over to the left and says, "Hey, Olaf Koy, here, let me lead you out to the finish." It's like, guy's dumb. Like,
yeah.
come on. But
I definitely got to
yeah, it
go
was
watch
cool.
that because that's been one of those things that I've been focused on in the off season was I think Olive Koy's got a huge upside. I think he is absolutely somebody to watch. I think he is going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with. And now that you pair him with a good lead out train, I'd
Yeah,
love to see them go after some of those big sprints, throughout the year. Obviously, they're not going to be involved in the Tour de France, but maybe that's who they'll maybe he'll be in the Giro mix. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that PCS actually will tell, like, the teams will release the riders' information and like what their schedules are. You can look on PCS. Like, I'm on always PCS page right now, and go over to the right. It shows upcoming participations. So
Ooh,
as of right now, that is showing that he's going after the UAE tour. He no wait, he'll be at UAE at the UAE tour.
ooh,
Kern
that's good.
Brussels Kern, Tirreno Adriatico, Milan San Remo, Brugge de Pan, Ghent Wevelgem, Ashbourne Frankfurt. So he's got like a nice strong schedule of classics, including MSR, and then he's going to the Giro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in. I'm all in. So, Olaf Koy, we're going to be watching you. Okay. Um, One thing I wanted that I saw just kind of as as cruising through cycling news, Perry Roubaix, uh, obviously like one of the big iconic parts of Perry Roubaix is the Arenberg Forest, the
Yeah,
that cobble section, and notoriously
nasty,
for years
nasty sector.
it's had this crazy chicane that it leads into it that has been
Well, no,
dangerous.
no, 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 no. They added the chicane like last year to
Oh,
slow everybody down. The problem was that last year, like the notorious history is that the entry to the Arenberg Forest would invariably cause turmoil and crashes and stuff because they are going so fast down this straight road, and they transition straight onto the cobbles so fast that people are like bumping and it's causing problems. So
well, and
last year,
when you hit those cobbles because of where they're located, they're very slick. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And so last year, yeah, because they're in the forest, so chances are it's covered. It's that, it's April. It's, they're going to be slick almost every single time. So last year they put in this insane, like almost 180-degree turn.
To slow them
Um,
down.
yeah, so they were forced to slow down. So it was a hard left turn, and then a hard right turn, then a gradual left back onto the cobbles. So what did you turn up?
They're putting in a detour to hopefully slow it down, so that when they hit that spot that you don't have the dangerousness of this high speed peloton hitting the moist cobbles. So it'll be very interesting to see, because obviously to me that's one of the most iconic parts of that race because that that run through the Ehrenberg Forest can absolutely just destroy the race. You know what I mean? If you get, punctures abound, there's so many different things that happen in that one little stretch that, it can completely change the landscape of the race. So, and obviously I think, and we'll talk, we talked about safety and concerns to the Bessèges race this week. You know, safety is a paramount concern to these riders, and in these huge races like Paris Roubaix, these very very iconic races, to make it safer for these guys, I think is the smart move. I think anytime that these race organizers get it in their heads that like they need to nullify these very dangerous spots, I think it's a good move. I support it 100%, and I just I wish that there was more of it going on. I know that obviously with these smaller races versus the like the grand tours, that the budgets are completely different and it's much harder for them to maintain the safety. But when they make moves like this on a big race, I think it's a good thing. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always in favor of in favor of safety here on the team bus and the Beyond the Slipstream podcast. Um, so I'm still here glancing at PCS, which I have to say I'm just loving. Like I mean, I was before we started doing the podcast, but using it as a part of this show um, is really awesome. I just clicked on when we were talking about Coy going to what the races he was going to. Milan San Remo is one of them. So I just clicked on that race. So if you click on an upcoming race, um, it gives you the preliminary start list. So basically, any team that has announced riders that are going will be like listed right there. So just kind of like glancing
Okay,
through. There's
give
no
it
there's
to
no
me.
there's no Alpecin there's no Alpecin on there, which is interesting since defending champion. Um, but let's see. I'm just want to see who like stands out. Um, EF Education has Harry Sweeney and Vincenzo Albanese. You got Bettiol going with his new team, Astana. Um, you've got former winner Mate Mahorek going for Bahrain Victorious with Eduardo Zambanini.
Boy, that team has been all over this week, man.
You got for Decathlon AG2R, you've got Oliver Nason with Aurelian Parepantra and Victor Lefay. That should be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Ineos has former winner Michal Kwiatkowski, and I think second place from 2 years ago, Filippo Ganna. Remember the photo of Ganna, Wout van Aert, and who was it? Vanderpool, all sandwiched in on that chair from 2 years ago. Biniam Girmay from Intermarché is going to be there. You've got, I think, former winner Jasper Stuyven going for Lidl Trek, along with Soren Krah at his new team, Mads Pedersen, and Jonathan Milan. There's a stacked cast.
Wow.
Lidl Trek for MSR.
Or
You've
as
got
or as Chris Werner calls him, Johnny Milan.
Johnny Milan. Yeah. You've got stage winner from Etoile Bessèges this week, Paul Magnier, going for Soudal Quickstep. You got Lawrence Pithy from Red Bull. John Degenkolb, the old man from Picnic Post NL, will be there. Michael Matthews, last year's second place, will be there. None other than Tadej Pogacar, who's going to be helping him out. Tim Wellens, Domen Novak, and Jonathan Narvaez. For your boys Visma Lab, you've got Christoph Olaf Koy, Attila Walter, and Victor Campanarts. That should be
I
a
like
pretty good
every one of
squad.
them for that race. I like that.
We've also got Tom Pidcock in there. That's going to be cool. The one that has not announced any yet is Tudor Pro Cycling, but they're in for MSR. So,
All
oh
right.
man,
Yeah.
oh man, March 22nd, I believe.
It's so
I believe
close. So
I believe it is
close.
March 22nd. Yeah, super stoked for that. All right, well, unless there was anything else you wanted to mention
Nah, I don't have anything else,
on this
man.
one. Yeah, Milan San Remo, March 22nd, Saturday, March 20th.
Mark your calendars.
Way. All right, it's Super Bowl Sunday. That's all for us this week in the team bus.